Hey everybody, welcome to my new Kit Plane Adventures YouTube channel. I'm Mark Penson-Stadler, and this is episode 1 of Countdown to First Flight for my Blue Angels Zenith Cruzer. So I'm getting really close to being able to schedule the FAA inspection with the FAA to get the airplane certified and get its airworthiness certificate. There's just a couple things that I need to do first. I needed to get the wheel pants done, I need to get the engine baffles complete, and fluid into brake lines. Then I can weigh the airplane, get a weight and balance, and I think after that I'm all set to call the FAA and schedule their inspection. I finally put fuel in the aircraft wing fuel tanks, so I just wanted to bring the airplane out and run the engine again because it hasn't run in quite some time. I got it all set up and tied down to the back of my car just to hold it in place, and I had a couple people manning the fire extinguishers, and my neighbor noticed a fuel leak. All right, the fuel leak was nothing major. It was just a loose fitting on one of the fuel pumps. We tightened that up and ran the engine, ran great, started up just fine, but of course I forgot to turn the camera back on to film it. I do have some other engine running footage I did later at the end of this video, so stick around for that. Anyway, when I ran the engine, I noticed that some of the red and yellow arcs and green arcs and stuff like that for some of the engine things like oil pressure and stuff weren't set correctly in the dynon. So I spent a little time going through the menu system to make sure all of those were set up correctly. Now in the dynon, it's pretty easy to do. If you hold these right two buttons down for a couple of seconds, you'll get into the menu page. And we have these little rotary knobs, and it's also a push button on actually both sides. But you can scroll down to the EMS, which is the engine monitoring system, I guess it stands for. Press the button, we'll go down to sensor setup. And then if I just pick one, say like oil pressure, click on that. And we have through here all the different parameters you can set up. Yellow arcs, red arcs, temperatures, all that kind of stuff. So I went through every one of the sensors and got everything set up correctly. So now everything is set correctly on the bottom of the screen. So when I run the engine, everything's accurate. Well, some of you guys know I've been complaining about these wheel pants for years, ever since I bought this kit. This is the original wheel pant from Zenith. They come already from Zenith with this cutout in here because they have a piece of steel that goes up at here you're supposed to mount it to. That did not fit correctly for me, so I wanted to design my own mounts for the wheel pants, and I did not want this big cutout in here. So I ordered new ones from Zenith without that cutout, and now I'm going to show you how I finally mounted the wheel pants. So in order to get this cutout made for the wheel pants, the first thing I did was make this cardboard template. My neighbor calls this cardboard CAD. So this is designed to fit right over the axle, and if I put this brake caliper back on here, I can show you. It's designed to fit right over here like that. So now this, with the cardboard being a perfect fit, I can take this and transfer it to the wheel pant and get a real nice cutout. While I have the wheel pant positioned on the gear, I've put that template back on, and with it on here, that lets me trace where I want to cut out for the brake caliper. And I'll take the wheel pant off and get it all cut out. So one other thing to note with mounting wheel pants is obviously you don't want the tire rubbing on the top of the wheel pant. So I have this 3/4 inch thick foam that I just have taped to the wheel pant. To the wheel or the tire. And that way when I put the wheel pant on, I can push the wheel pant all the way down, and I know that I'll always have that clearance between the tire and the top inside of the wheel pant. All right, so I do have the outside drilled for the screws, and of course I drilled a hole in the wrong spot, so I'll have to fill that. I have some other holes, a couple holes in the cowling and other parts that I have to fill yet, so when I do that I'll just mix up a little epoxy and put it in there and fill it. But now that the outside is done, I need to work on the mount for the inside. The way the inside mount works is this is the piece that Zenith gives you here, and it mounts between the black part of the axle and the gear. So it mounts about like this, and as you can see, it's not touching the wheel pant, and it just doesn't really fit well as is. With this piece here, it's designed, like I just said, to go on the outside of the wheel, or the gear like that. And these 4 holes in here, what's nice is it's a perfect square, so it can fit on the bolts like that, or like this, or any way you want to do it. So what I'm doing is I'm putting mine on these 2 bolts here, and I'm cutting it here, and then I'll put 2 screws into the wheel pant and this bracket to hold the front on. If that doesn't make any sense, you'll see in just a minute. So here's the piece I just cut off of here. I've just sliced it there, and then I've rounded the edges, filed it kind of smooth. I need to cut out a little bit rounded part here for the axle, so I'm just using this washer, and I'm guesstimating where it's going to go, about right here. And so now I just draw this little half moon on there. I'll cut that out, and this will be ready to mount to the axle, and then I can drill the 2 holes through the wheel pant into here to secure the back half of the wheel pant. I figured I'd show you how I'm cutting this out. I really don't like working with steel. I'm really not good with it, and I don't really have the tools to work with it, so I use this little worn out cutoff wheel on my Dremel just to kind of go around like this and get a rough cut. And now I'm going to use the grinder to smooth that out. Well, here it is when it's done. It's nice and smooth now. And I've already primed this, but what I'm going to do is grind this off. I'm going to have all these steel pieces powder coated just to protect them from rusting. But this piece is now ready to bolt onto the axle. If you saw my last video, I was showing you this jack from Bogart Aviation. So that's what I'm using to jack this up. It works really nice. Here's this piece of steel that I made, and where it goes on is right here. So that little round cutout I did fits right around that axle right there. So I'll put the 2 bolts back in, and I'll show you how it mounts to the wheel pant. This is what it looks like installed. It's super strong. And I don't really need these 2 holes here because I'm going to drill 2 new ones for the wheel plant with nut plates, but I just wanted the extra length on this tab to sit on, so the wheel pant can sit on there. Here's the 2 holes that's drilled in the wheel pant for the front screws. So it's pretty solid now with the outside mount and this mount. So that's it. I'll take these brackets off now. I'll put some nut plates on them, have them powder coated, and I can put the whole thing back together. Well, that was a little bit longer on the wheel pants than I wanted, but I have now removed the wheel pants. I've removed all the steel brackets, and once I get them back from the powder coater, I can put the steel brackets back on and put the wheels on permanently and actually connect the brake lines and put brake fluid in the brake lines. I just wanted to show you my brake lines here. They come out of the bottom of the fuselage and they go down this tube here along the back of the gear, and of course that goes into the brake caliper. And all I've done to connect that tube was I took a piece of aluminum here, you can see it's a square piece here, and I've rounded it around the tube and I JB welded it together on both of those tabs. And then I just used this tape here, which is just double-sided foam tape, to tape those tabs to the back of the gear. I'm not exactly sure how well that's going to work. I know other people have taped it and it's worked fine. I can tell you the one on the left side, I've already knocked it off. So if it doesn't work, I'll find a different tape or something else to use. But that is how I have my brake lines on my airplane. All right, guys, I'll leave you with some raw footage of the engine run I did with the cowling on the airplane. Before I do that though, I really want to ask you just to subscribe to the channel if you don't mind. Hit the like button, I would really appreciate it. Your comments and your thumbs ups really do help the channel to grow, and this is the new channel I want to grow. And by the way, I will have a video coming out on why I did start a new YouTube channel. I'll have it posted either on my old one or this one or both. Anyway, here's some raw footage of the engine run, and we'll see you on episode 2 of Countdown to First Flight.